Hybrid work arrangements aren't going away anytime soon. So why are many teams more disconnected than ever? Leaders are working hard to communicate in many cases, but trust is still breaking down. Stick around for this video and I'll give you 3 tips to help improve communication in hybrid teams. Hybrid work arrangements haven't just changed how we work, they've fundamentally changed how trust is built. I can remember many years ago, long before the pandemic, I ran a news department in regional Australia and we had staff spread across various offices. And I can remember if I didn't continually communicate with each office specifically, then communication quickly broke down. And it instantly became an us and them situation. Rumours circulated, things got misinterpreted and misunderstood, rumblings started to happen, and I had to double down on the way I interacted with those teams. It's just human nature, isn't it? As soon as there is a break in proximity, we're not directly with the people we're communicating with, it becomes harder to maintain that trust because we are automatically suspicious of distance and we start to think, am I being told everything? And the things that can happen in hybrid work, even with good intentions from leaders, we communicate less frequently. We communicate online but don't take extra steps to make sure that we're still building trust even though we're a head in a box on a screen. And that does take extra effort and skill. We assume that silence is okay, that if we don't say anything, everything is fine. People will assume that no news is good news. But of course, that's rarely the case. No news actually equals suspicion. So while it can be fantastic that organisations and companies are more flexible in their working arrangements, and of course with the state of the world and things that are happening, it's become necessary at various times that we have people working from home, it does throw up additional challenges and trust can be the casualty. So I want to give you 3 areas to focus on, whether you're the leader of a whole organisation or of a small team, to think about, particularly if you've got team members who work some of the time at home or out of the office. Even if all of your team is in the office, these tips will still help you. The first one is create predictable communication rhythms. I call this a consistent cadence. So have regular team meetings, whatever that looks like in your context, but make sure you stick to the schedule because sometimes when we get super busy, what's the first casualty? It's those regular meetings. Those need to be non-negotiables in the calendar. Be really clear in setting expectations of team members and make sure you've got their commitment and have accountability in the follow-up. Otherwise, misunderstandings can easily happen and then that can create disharmony if people are not doing what they're meant to be doing. And even if there isn't anything particularly exciting to report anyway, make sure you're maintaining that consistent cadence of communication. Here's the second tip I'd like you to consider. Say the same thing everywhere. What I sometimes see is leaders will deliver information in a meeting, but then in an email, perhaps somebody else has drafted the email and the meaning isn't quite the same. Or if they're in a one-on-one situation, they might express the information differently again. So consistency isn't just about the cadence of the communication, it's about the message as well. And making sure that if you're in a business or organisation where communication needs to be cascaded across the whole staff cohort, make sure your various leaders are being consistent in their approach. Nothing kills trust faster than hearing one thing from one leader and then the opposite from somebody else. So get your ducks in a row, be consistent with your message. Say the same thing regardless of the channel. Be consistent in your message, especially when communicating with hybrid teams. And here's the third one, be visible even if you're not physically there. Out of sight means out of mind, and that's dangerous. So even if you can't physically be with your team or with certain team members, make sure you are visible through regular video calls, through other ways of being present. Make sure that you're dropping in to conversations. You're being very clear about celebrating wins and opportunities, the positive stuff, not just communicating when something's gone wrong or there's a problem. So keep that visibility going. Just because you mightn't all be physically in the same location, you can still have a visible presence. You can still have energy that enables your team members to feel connected, to feel part of the team, and to continue to build that trust among themselves and with you as the leader. That's how you build a solid team, even across distance. If you have a hybrid team or teams that are struggling to get it together and trust is pretty fragile, this is fixable. A lot of the responsibility lies with the leader though, and this is about clear, consistent, credible communication. So these 3 tips will help you that we've just covered. Firstly, that consistent cadence of communication. Secondly, the consistent message. Say the same thing everywhere, regardless of the channel. And thirdly, be visible even if you're not physically there. If you'd like some support in building trust, in helping your team members and your leaders in your business communicate with more credibility so that you're building trust, or if you'd support yourself, reach out and let's have a chat. I love working with leaders and teams to build trust through great communication that brings people together, that galvanizes them around your goals so that they are working together as a highly trusted, productive unit. Until next time, bye for now.